What is up everyone? Today is Friday, December 27th, so before I get on with the video, I just want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. I know it's a little bit late. I was hoping to get some kind of update video out just before Christmas. Didn't quite manage it, so hopefully I'll be able to do something like that for New Year's, where I just chat to the camera a little bit, give you guys a few updates and whatnot. But for today, we have got something pretty exciting actually. This is Jess's MacBook Pro. It is the last 13-inch MacBook Pro with the optical drive, so it's a non-retina model. It's the thicker one, I'm sure you all remember it. Believe it or not, one of my most popular videos was actually the video where I set this up for Jess. So I bought it, upgraded the RAM, and also put in my Samsung 830 SSD, which was an SSD that I bought when the 830s were still current, and I had it in my Mac Pro for a while, and I put it in here later on. Well, basically, to cut a long story short, Jess has run out of storage. It's between photos and the Sims. Jess plays Sims 4, she's got loads of expansion packs, takes up quite a lot of space, and she's got a shed ton of photos. So for Christmas, I bought Jess the Samsung 860 EVO SSD, and I got her the 500 gig model, which is double the capacity of what she has now. So hopefully between a little bit of photo clearing out and the fact that the drive is double the size, hopefully she will get a lot more storage and many more years out of this. I'm going to do a fresh install today, so what we've got downloading is the latest version of macOS. That'll be done pretty soon, and it'll actually be the first Mac in the house that'll be on Catalina, so that's quite exciting. This machine is currently on High Sierra, which is actually fairly up there in terms of the OSs that I'm running on all of the Macs in the house at the moment. I am very, very behind, and it's kind of getting to me in a little bit. I've spoken about it in a previous video. I need to get all of my Apple stuff up to date and current and stuff. I've just neglected everything, so this is kind of a first step. Getting Jess up to the latest OS, getting it up with a new drive. So let's dig into the drive. It was quite funny actually. Jess decided, let me just grab a knife. My lovely sharp knife that was right there seems to have gone walkies, so we'll have to put up with these massive scissors just to cut the seal on this one. We'll cut this seal because it's a smaller seal. Yeah, it was quite funny. On, I think, the 23rd, or it might have even been Christmas Eve. No, it was day before Christmas Eve. There was a sale on one of the Sims expansions, and Jess was like, you know what, it's the holidays, I'm going to treat myself to it. And then she didn't have any space to install it, so she spent ages trying to clear out files, got enough space, downloaded it, and then she had space to store it, but there wasn't enough space to run it. So I was sort of sat there the whole time, and I was like this close to saying, just leave it, tomorrow it'll all be fine because there's something in your stocking that's going to make life a lot easier. But she gave up, and yeah, I managed to keep it a secret. So here we have it. This is the Samsung SSD. Man, it's flipping tiny. It feels thinner than your average SSD. We'll see when we pull out the 830, or maybe I'm just not used to it because I haven't handled a 2.5-inch drive in a while. But yeah, here it is. Very simple, lightweight. You know, SSDs, there's nothing to them now really, is there? You just get them in a pointless bit of plastic that could easily be cardboard. Yeah, so there's the drive. We'll just wait for this to be done. What we're going to do today in terms of data backup and recovery and all that jazz, we're just going to pull the drive out as it is. We're not going to do any transfers or cloning or anything like that. There's an active Time Machine backup to my time capsule at the moment from this guy. Should be fairly new. If it's not doing one now, then it will have done one yesterday. So that'll be all the latest data that's on the machine, and I'm just going to whip out the SSD. Then afterwards, when we install a fresh OS, I'm going to connect it back up externally via USB 3, and we will just copy over all of the relevant files, and then I'll look at installing applications later on. There aren't that many applications on the machine. Half the reason is because, of course, as much was deleted as possible to make this machine usable for the last few weeks, as it's been really full. So we're just looking at basically installing Microsoft Word and Photoshop as additional software, really, give or take, which is absolutely fine. So just wait for this to download, then we'll make a USB drive. And speaking of USB drives, I need to find a USB 3.0 drive because I don't really fancy waiting for a USB 2.0 drive, so I'm going to dig one out. So the download didn't take too long. We're going to quit the installer. I've got a USB stick here, so let's plug her in. It is USB 3.0. It's one of the only USB 3 USB sticks I've ever bought. It was for when I did the installation on my Hackintosh. This should be empty. Yeah. And I don't really use them these days, so I should grab a few because they're handy for things like this. I downloaded Disk Maker. Right then, okay. We've got. I found a copy of the installer software. Applications. Do you wish to use this? Use this copy. Which kind of disk will you use? If you have a 16 GB thumb drive, it will be completely erased. Yeah, a 16 GB USB thumb drive. USB. Warning, blah 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 blah, erase. Last question, would you rather go dark? I want to come to the dark side. I'm more in a light mood. Is that about the theme? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Shall I click that button? What does that mean? The next step, you'll ask administrator privilege to build the install disk, so please type your administrator login and password. Okay, so Disk Maker is doing its thing, which is good. I'm a bit nervous that I pressed that button. Just logging into my iMac in the background, folks, apologies. Yeah, there we go, whatever. Let's just wait it out, I guess. It'll take a little while. I don't know where the dialog box is. I haven't used this app in a long time. You can do it via terminal, but do it this way just because I don't have to look up the commands then. Yeah, let's just wait and see what happens. Okay, so this app now gives you notifications in the corner, and it just popped up 100% done, so pleased about that. We now have Catalina USB installed disk. Icon to personalize the disk. Don't worry, your macOS disk will work fine. Leave a copy of the compressed icon name on your desktop so you can still... Okay, cool. Yeah, we don't really mind about the icon. Random. Yeah, we'll make a small donation later on because this app is great. What icon did it try and make? Oh, nice. Okay, wasn't able to for whatever reason. Might keep this as Catalina install. Okay, yeah, I'll keep this drive as it is. It'll be handy for the other machines. I'll probably do my MacBook Pro before I go back to work. I got some time off work over New Year's and Christmas and things, so I'll probably do my MacBook Pro. As I said, anyway, come on, Tom, let's move things on a little bit. Eject that. Let's shut this machine down for the last time on this particular install, which will make me quite happy because this install actually has a few issues as well. It has some weird behaviour. I'm not sure what causes it. One of the main symptoms is the desktop wallpaper constantly changes itself all the time back to default, and then if you use multiple desktops, they don't remember the wallpapers and they just go back to default or solid colours. Like you saw earlier in the video, it was the default macOS wallpaper and then it was solid blue. It's the weirdest of bugs. And it does some weird sleep things as well. It doesn't quite behave itself, to be perfectly honest, folks. So it'll be nice to get a fresh install on here. Let's unplug it from everything and we can start to take this guy apart. So I've got up the iFixit guide because I remembered that there were a few different size screws in this machine, and indeed there are 4 of this size, 3 of that size and 3 of that size, and you can see the different locations. I had a memory of that from last time I did it, so let's take a look in real life, and if we orientate the machine in the same way, we can then keep these screws separate in our ice cube tray. So that's all of the screws out. My apologies if this video is a bit jumpy and you see the angle changing. I'm swapping between 2 batteries that have a tiny bit of juice in them. Can't find my 3rd battery. I need to get a load more batteries for this camera, to be honest. Just noticed as well, this is missing 2 feet. I'll have to grab some of those. But here we have it, the inside of the machine. Looking just the way I remember it, to be perfectly honest. Let's unplug the battery, first things first. and we'll proceed to take out the drive. So here's the Samsung 830. Look how retro it looks, guys. Since they've changed the design, this one is still like the brushed metal look. It looks really old school. Bought this drive in, what, 2012 or something, I guess? So there's one screw there, one screw here. This is a bit of deja vu because obviously done all this before. Here we go, and here's the little ribbon connector that connects to the drive, and here's my Samsung 830. Now let's see if I was right about the thickness thing. Yeah, the new one's a bit thinner, I think. Or maybe it's my imagination. Who knows? Anyway, first things first, because I'll probably forget it. I'm going to transfer over this bit of tape. We'll put it over here. Makes it really easy to pull the drive out instead of fishing for it. You can see how much more thickness the original hard drive had as well. So that'll sit in there quite nicely. First of all, though, I need to swap out the screws, and that's a different bit. Torx T6 bit. One lovely thing about these MacBook Pros, obviously, as you can see, is the fact that they are just so easy to work inside. I can get right in. Well, they were fiddly. It took me, I was timing on my camera, it took me over 2.5 minutes to screw in 4 little screws. I'm getting rusty, guys. I'm getting too rusty. And it just dawned on me while I was screwing this in as well that, because I'm not making that many YouTube videos at the moment, this is my second, like, I'm upgrading someone's storage in their machine video. So, it'd be quite comical if we get a third of that nature. But we won't, because this is it. Mum and Dad have got plenty of storage now. Jess has got plenty of storage. We are good to go. Where did I put the other screwdriver bit, folks? Phillips. So that's it. We plugged the drive in. We've slotted it back in. Sits in there really nicely, as you can see. We'll just screw this bracket back in. This actually holds the drive in place. There we have it. Nice and solid. Everything's looking good. Plug the battery back in, which is easy to forget. But there we go. Plug that back in. And grab the bottom cover. Push it down into place. Nice. And starting with the easiest ones to remember, because they are by far the longest, let's screw this machine back together. I was actually quicker screwing the entire bottom cover on than I was screwing those 4 screws into that drive. Anyway, that is that. Finished inside the MacBook Pro. Okay, so obviously it kind of goes without saying we're not plugging in the old drive until we've actually installed the operating system, because there's no need for it and it just introduces confusion. So the Apple logo has come up, which shows us that it's detected the USB stick. The USB stick is flashing like mad, so that means that it's booting from the installer, which is exactly what we want. There's absolutely nothing else that it could possibly boot from, because this is a fresh drive in the machine. So far so good. It looks like the good old disk maker application worked once again. So here we are. We are going to jump into disk utility first of all. I'm going to erase the hard drive first and foremost. So here we have it. Samsung 860 EVO 500GB, which is great. So we're going to click erase on that one. Just going to call it Macintosh SSD, macOS extended journaled. Did I press cancel? I pressed cancel. Oh my gosh. SSD erase. So there's the SSD successfully erased, and now we can install macOS. Continue. Agree. Agree. There it is, our newly erased disk. Boom. It's installing. So a little while ago it restarted to this sort of screen that looks a bit different, but overall the install is being super quick. Here we are on the choose the language bit. United Kingdom, all of that is set to UK. Connected to Wi-Fi, which is good. Connect. Don't transfer my info. Sign in with your Apple ID. So just had to get Jess to verify her Apple ID with a code that came through to her phone. So that's all good. Auto is pretty cool on the theme here, day and night. I'm going to set it to dark permanently though, because I think that'll be pretty cool. We can always change it. There we go, setting up your Mac. And it is all pretty much done. So let's take a look at what happens when we get to the desktop. No lovely intro video, they need to bring that back. That's one mega complaint I have. It's just not as fun anymore, is it? An OS installed video without an intro video. There we have it. Let's have a look at the About This Mac. And we have got, let's turn zooming on first. macOS, God's sake. macOS Catalina 10.15.2. And we have 13-inch mid 2012, 2.5 gigahertz, blah blah blah. All the specs are looking good. Macintosh SSD, 482.99 gigs. Fantastic. So let's unplug the USB drive. I've already ejected it. And let's plug in the SSD. And what we're going to do is just go to all of the home folders and just copy the contents of the folders over. Okay. File vault was on, wasn't it? Enter the password to unlock the disk. Okay, cool, sweet. I've actually disabled File Vault on this machine now in the installer. I just did it only because this machine isn't taken anywhere. It's not used outside of the home, so it's kind of pointless to have it enabled and just more hassle, really. So we're going to users. You can see Jessica, and from this point we'll just copy the contents of all of these folders over, do a big batch copy, and that way we'll be laughing pretty much. So I've copied the contents of the documents, movies, downloads and desktop folders, and now we're just waiting on the pictures. Got 9 minutes to copy over 142.67 gigs. Just under 30,000 items there for photos. So yeah, that's pretty good. There's going to be a lot of space left on this machine. Then Jess can re-download all the sim stuff and whatnot, and there should be loads of space left to play with. Yeah, so far Dark Theme's looking really nice. Quite impressed. Seems to be running okay as well. So, happy. So one thing that I didn't really take into consideration were the applications. I didn't think about Photoshop or Microsoft Office. I have an ancient version of Office. It's Office 2011 for Mac. It's always installed and run on all of the Macs that I've had on the older operating systems. And I also had Photoshop CS6, which I have installed on this machine, have installed on my MacBook and installed on Jess's MacBook, but unfortunately neither of those two applications will run in Catalina. Don't really know what to say about that, because obviously the landscape has changed quite a bit with both of those products. It's a monthly subscription thing for both Office 365 and obviously the Adobe stuff. It's not viable for us because we just... I do use Photoshop quite a bit for work, but it's still not justifiable for either myself or work to pay for it for me. It's just not, it doesn't make any sense really. So what I've done for now is I've installed GIMP on Jess's MacBook. I've also downloaded iWork, because obviously iWork will open Microsoft Word documents, and I've said to Jess, look, iWork's better anyway for simple stuff. Just use Pages. It's a nicer experience on the Mac as a whole, unless you need Microsoft specific features, which she doesn't. And yeah, I think I'm going to have to reconsider installing Catalina on my MacBook in the next week or so, just because of the Photoshop thing. I use it 2 or 3 times a week. So yeah, medium usage there. Still, it's one of those things. On a happier note, I want to show you guys something really cool. It's the 27th today, and tomorrow I am hoping to start an epic project and something a little bit crazy that you guys won't have seen coming, and I'm going to give you a clue right now. I'm going to record a video about it as well. It's not technology related at all, it's life related, but today I stopped in Wilkinson's and I bought a few supplies. I bought some more painting supplies, because I've got all of my painting supplies currently in the other room because I'm painting the hallway and the landing. They're all, you know, tied up with that colour. So I've got dedicated rollers and brushes. I've got 2 tins of paint. Got some filler and a few other bits and bobs in here. Bought myself a level, just a little cheaper one because I've never really had one. And yeah, we've got a little bit of something coming up tomorrow which will be completely random for you guys. So I'll get you up to speed tomorrow. It's going to be a fun little vid that I hope to get out really soon. It's going to be a crazy task to try and take on all in one day, but there's a very good reason why I've got to do it all in one day. Put it this way, what you see around you right now, this is the last night of all of this because we're kind of playing musical rooms, if you like. So yeah, IMNCHQ Mark III on the horizon potentially. So I'll leave you guys with that thought, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, which may be that one, or it could be a different one that I already have ready, but a couple of videos ready to rock, so see you in another video really soon.